evening, everyone. Welcome back to the 1 Hour series. Hope everybody's having a great evening because tonight we have a very special, amazing guest. Her name is Mari Lyn Henry, the author of How to Be a Working Actor, which also happens to be our topic for tonight. So tonight we'll discuss a lot of different things, or as many things as we can discuss in the 1 hour. So get your questions ready. Any questions are great. We also have a few different discussion topics for tonight. So Mari Lyn will do an introduction of things she usually tells actors in her courses. Also, we will be doing a draw for a Zoom session with Mari Lyn. So one of the lucky winners of the draw will get to spend a one-on-one hour with Mari Lyn and discuss anything you want to discuss that's industry related, and Mari Lyn has got experience in a lot of different things. So in order to enter the draw, all you need to do is answer questions we ask tonight. The questions will be super easy for those who usually watch. They'll be something like, what's your favorite movie? Or what's your favorite musical? What's your dream role? Things like that. So get ready for those questions, put them down in comments, the answers, and you'll get entered into the draw every time you answer a question. So I would love to introduce Mari Lyn now. Hello, Mari Lyn. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Oh, well, hello, Julia, and it's great to be here and looking at you. You're very beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And young. I want to talk. You invited me to give a brief biography of my life.
Yes, just so people know what kinds of questions they can ask you.
Oh, well, okay. One of the things I think that bonds myself with all actors and actors in training is that I too, in my early years, wanted to act. And I was raised in San Francisco in the Bay Area. I'm a native Californian. I was outrageously theatrical. They used to call me Sarah Heartburn. So somebody knew that I was probably going to end up acting or in some nefarious profession. I don't know which, but here we go. My college education is where I really found myself, my voice as an actor. I believe in education strongly, and I went to San Jose State University, majored in theater there, and then instead of going straight to Hollywood, which I had no intention of doing anyway, I received a notification from a very dear professor of mine who told me about a players company, National Players Company in Washington, D.C. at Catholic University of America. And since I wanted more education and so forth and theater training, she suggested that I contact that university theater department and see if I could be accepted. Actually, it was if I could get an application in time with a picture and a resume to audition for their National Players Touring Company, which was a 1-year tour. Didn't happen. However, the head of the theater department there did send a letter to me and my parents saying, if I got the wherewithal to get to Washington, D.C., I would have a place there. They would help me get a work grant for some extra money that I needed. And so that's how that started. Graduate school was an absolute plus in my life. Many memories, including working with Helen Hayes on campus when she came to do a play. Good Morning, Miss Dove was the name of it. And I got the alter ego role. So I got scenes with her on stage in the theater department. Plus tours abroad, State Department exchange, because you're in Washington, D.C., that will happen. And so I got my master's degree ultimately, and then I decided that I was so close to New York, and I always wanted to be in New York. I dreamt about it. I thought, this is my place. I've got to be there. I feel connected. So I came to New York in the late 60s, and I don't know. I felt that maybe I should have come there earlier, like as a teenager. But by the time I got there, I was a little too old for the younger ingenue roles and a little too young, etc. But I did get, through a friend from the university who was my roommate at one time, she was working in an ad agency. She got me in the door of an ad agency to help the casting director there. And that's how my casting career began, working for Maxine Marx, the daughter of Chico Marx of the Marx Brothers. And I will tell you this, there was never a dull moment during my 9 years working with her, but I certainly learned a lot about the talent pool. And much more because of my acting background and my love of acting still to this day. I felt that actors needed, sometimes they needed their unemployment insurance or their health insurance. We could cast extras on commercials then, and they could make some points towards that insurance. So there were a lot of these things that I was able to do while I was in that position. And then in about I was there 9 years. I started in 69. In the early 80s or late 70s, I got the opportunity to become the head of casting for ABC in New York, mainly acting as a liaison between the network and the studio soap opera people who were casting. And so I sort of worked with them, did talent searches, etc. The career has taken many different pathways, which we find out as we mature. And so I've done a lot of different things. I was even a talent manager for 10 years, but we will not talk about that decade of my life, which was not the most pleasant. I found out how it was to be on the other side of the desk as a buyer. And a casting director is usually selling, but anyway, fast forward, and now I am thankful for being able to get a book published called How to Be a Working Actor with a wonderful, wonderful actress collaborator. We felt it was imperative upon us to do that because so many actors came out of training programs clueless. They didn't know what a good picture was. They didn't know how to put together a resume. They didn't know how to, because that wasn't being taught then. And now with technology, there are more opportunities to introduce yourself to the idea of self-taping, Zooming as we are now, going to master classes on YouTube. I mean, there's so many opportunities out there now. But what I will say this to all actors, because I have a favorite quote that I've used in my seminars over the years. And it was a famous comedian. I don't think he invented it, so I'm not going to use his name. And I don't want to, insult the source of this quote. But if opportunity isn't knocking, build a door. And so my whole life has been about getting that door open just a little bit at a time, letting the light come in of inspiration and finding your way and sticking to your focus in reality. Reality is a very important part of the dream of actors. They still have to be grounded and disciplined. So I think that covers it in brief, in the nutshell, as they say, until right now, where I'm seeing you for the first time.
All right. Well, thank you for that intro. You sure have a lot of background in a lot of things. So those of you watching, put your questions down now because we only do have an hour. And the faster you put down your questions, the more chance there is that we'll get to answer it. Now, before we go on, I just want to ask the first draw question. So once again, for those who are joining us for the first time, every time you answer a draw question, your name gets entered into the draw. And at the end of the stream, we will announce the winner. Now, the first question, let's make it a super simple one. Since tonight we'll be discussing both film and theater, let us know who your favorite film and or theater actor is. And if you answer the question, your name gets entered into the draw. So let us know in comments. Now for Mari Lyn, could you tell us what you usually tell actors, or maybe like some key points that everyone needs to know about how to be a working actor? I'm sure that'll answer a lot of questions.
Well, I mean, first of all, before you get to any of the major markets or New York or Los Angeles, upon everyone who wants to be a working actor to get training. I mean, that's the important thing. It's everything. And I did it through college and graduate school. Not everybody has the opportunities I had, but there are wonderful conservatories, community colleges, and so forth that offer classes. If you have no training at all, then I would assume or hope that you would get it, and get it from vetted teachers. It's very important. Um, Training is everything, said Mark Twain. A peach was once an almond pit. I'm quoting Mark Twain now. A peach was once an almond pit, and a cauliflower is a cabbage with an education. So, I think that in order to begin, everybody says, where do I begin? How do I put a resume together? What's a good picture? All these things have been asked for over 50 years now. Okay. And I think that you have to have a plan. I think you have to know what you want to do. The first year that you're in a major city like New York, you're just getting acclimated to New York. New York is amazing and awesome. And you're always looking up because the buildings are so tall. And you have to be careful every step you take here. It's not the safest city in the world, but if you plan it right, you know how to be safe. And so I would think that training is the first thing. And then after the training, and if you want a degree, fine. If not, you want to just come here, then you have to start looking around for places to live. And you also have to set up your own office. It's very important. It's very important that actors give themselves that power and become the CEOs of their own business, which we have been talking about for a very long time. But if you have a little place in your home or your apartment or wherever you are to set up a desk, you've got a computer, you've got the gadgets, you're looking for, you're researching opportunities online, etc. There are a lot of outlets now that we did not have a long time ago. But get started. If that's your dream and that's it, and I'm writing a new book, and the first chapter is becoming an actor, the when and the why. When did you decide that you wanted to act? And why do you want to act? And I got some wonderful answers from a lot of student actors about when they decided. It was going to the theater with their parents, seeing Music Man on stage. Oh, I want to do that. It's got to be there. It's got to be the fire in the belly all the time. This is where the adrenaline comes in. The act of performing is so amazing. When you feel on stage, you feel the audience. A lot of the young people that I've spoken to over the years started in high school. You may have started in high school, Julia. Is that when you decided you wanted to act?
I decided when I wanted to act that I wanted to act professionally later on, but when I was a kid, when I was like, I remember I was always performing. I always loved, I just loved attention, I guess. As a little kid, I was like, everybody look at me, I'm riding the bike. And then I was like, everybody listen, I'm going to sing a song now.
That's
and
it.
then you had no choice, you had to listen. So
audience.
Yeah, and then I did a lot of community theater and a lot of I just performed everywhere. And then after a while I was like, oh, I think I want to kind of do this full time. So that's how it happened for me.
But we would all love to do it full time, but we know the reality of that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But still we can become creatively engaged and still find a partner, do a scene, prepare a monologue, go to a Shakespeare class. It's all kinds of stuff that's out there.
Exactly. As long as you keep yourself busy, I guess, make your own projects.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Now that we have that introduction, we do have a couple of questions from the audience. Let me just read those. Matthew is asking, please repeat the question for the draw. I think, and thanks, Irina, for answering. But Matt, the question was, who is your favorite film or theater actor, or actors if you have more than one, for the draw? And thanks everybody else for answering the draw questions. Now we have a question from Jaylan. Actually, let me combine that question with another one. But before I do that, let me ask the next draw question. So for those of you who'd like to enter the draw for a coaching with Mari Lyn, here's the next question for you. What is your favorite show? Also can be film or theater. Let us know. More than one is fine too. Let us know in comments and you'll be entered into the draw. So Mari Lyn, Jaylan, and actually Jennifer, who couldn't be here tonight, but she emailed me the question in advance, are asking, what is a working actor? So, what is the difference between a working actor and a star actor on Broadway? So yeah. If you could just talk about what is a working actor, so people understand
Well,
what we're
I think
talking
we
about here.
understand a working actor as somebody who is behaving as if they had their own business. And that means understanding what you have to do in order to get work. And many actors are working all the time. They're not stars, but they're on the
Yeah.
journey. They're getting cast wherever they are because that's what they love to do more than anything. I mean, a non-working actor is just these days somebody who is not a member of a union may be considered non-professional because they don't belong to an actors union. But you know, amateurs are just as important as professional actors because amateurs will do the work for nothing because they
Mhm.
love it so much. That's the root word of amateur. Um, you know, and in terms of you're in it for the long haul. You can't say, "Oh, today I'm going to be an actor," and everybody shudders and go, "They think they can act? What?" You know, there's a lot of lack of support in some families. This has happened over the years. They have to get out there and get a job, a side job, whether it's bartending, waiting tables, whatever the survival strategies are. But in the meantime, they're always working on their craft. And to us, that was the meaning of a working actor. You're never not an actor, but sometimes you get a little lazy. Oh, you don't feel like doing it today. You've got to watch your health. You've got to be physically fit. You've got to, you know, have all these skills that you continually practice on. If you own a musical instrument, you work with the musical instrument every day. You go to a dance class. You're in the dance class for hours every day, or not necessarily everybody does that. But if that's how they keep it together, and we were talking about getting your act together by focus, discipline, preparation, being smart. And that's why I teach another seminar called Career Intelligence, which just puts it into perspective. So that's the working actor part. You know, that's a title that sold a lot of books over the years because that's what everybody wanted to know. But we talk about it. Every chapter was written with the intention of helping the actor find a job, including audition techniques, script analysis, whatever the area was that needed to be part of the actor's toolkit. So, you know, basically, did I answer this question? I don't know if I veered or not, but does that answer the questioner?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think also in the industry, there's like if you're a working actor, you're not necessarily a star, but you keep getting like continuous work, and you know
Yeah,
you're consistently working kind of thing, right? Versus
that's,
like, oh,
that's
I'm a star on a Broadway show, and then I get no work
well, and
for two
also it's
years.
important that you network, be a networking actor, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important in terms of doing research on the internet. Everybody needs an agent. Well, maybe not. How do you get an agent?
Hmm.
Well, I used to tell actors, you know, if I could have gotten an agent, I wouldn't be teaching it. I would be out there working, maybe, but it's very difficult. You know, it's you throw your hands up in the airplane. I know so many award-winning actors over the years who did not have representation, but they worked because they directors liked what they did. They put them in their plays. It was getting the promotion out, having industry come and see your work. And many jobs led to that relationships that was started in those ways. So that's what you have to keep in mind, and don't give up.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Don't give up, because in this
Don't,
industry, you would get rejected most of the
yeah,
time.
that's the R word, Julia. It's not in my vocabulary. Rejection.
Oh, the R word. Yeah.
Maybe reflection, maybe replenishment,
Hmm.
refurbish. you can get a refurbished computer. Why not a career that's been kind of, slow on the uptake? But now let's see what we can do to put a new coat of paint on this idea that we are good. First of all, you have to believe in yourself and find faith in everything you do.
Yeah,
And
I agree with that. Yeah, very
trust
important.
your instincts and avoid the scam mongers that are out there in the wilderness. Too many people have been taken by people who said, "Oh yeah, I can get you work," and it's still going on out there. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I will. A manager, I just heard the story recently. A manager said to a young girl, who's a really talented young actress I know, and the manager was interested in her because she's very good. So they had a conversation on the phone or a Zoom call, and the manager said, "Now you're going to have to. I know your father teaches acting, but you can't study with him anymore because I have an acting teacher that all my clients go to. It's $100 an hour." I said to my friend, the actress, and her family, no. I mean, if you want to talk about conflict of interest and some kind of lack of ethical behavior here, that would be a perfect example of it. But, a lot of times they get away with that kind of thing.
All right. Yeah, it's honestly, especially about the scam, there's so many scam agencies out there as well that promise you to like make you a star. Just you
Oh,
have to just pay $1,000 for our photographer and then $2,000 for our agency's classes, and
oh,
you're like,
sure.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It all sounds so good. And I've seen so many families go to these talent contests, competitions that are still somewhere in the universe, with 3-year-olds being on a stage doing commercial copy, and then there's cold reading of scenes and all these different sessions that go on during this time, and they spend so much money for their children
Yeah.
because the children want it. So, some people even, mortgage their houses to
Wow.
get the money together for the trip to the site of this convention and all of the clothing they're going to have to wear. And I mean, it's just sad. So
Yeah.
you have to trust your instincts about these
Yeah.
things.
Well, a good rule is also if you're getting an agent, this is specifically, I guess, for actors starting out. If an agent is asking you for money up front, it's probably a scam.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. Or a manager wants 25% commission on no money. I mean, if you have a manager, usually a manager with a client who's like making a living, a
Mm-hmm.
pretty good living, can get 15% of commission. But if you're not working and you finally get a job and you've signed an agreement that no matter what it is, you're going to pay 25%, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Some people get away with it. They haven't read the small fine print at the bottom of the paper. So you have to really be careful, especially young people that are just starting now.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. And speaking of fine print and all the legal papers, we will have an entertainment lawyer on one of these streams. I believe it's in July, so stay tuned. We'll be talking about things you should know as an actor, um,
Yeah.
that's related to law. Things like when you sign a contract, maybe you should read it. Or
Yeah.
like people you can go to help you, sign these contracts or see if these are even legit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a huge
Yeah.
area of entertainment law. And you don't want to be involved with anything legal at the moment. And sometimes it used to be, and I think it still is relevant. Agents might be interested in a young, talented person for like 3 months,
Hmm.
send them around, see what the reactions are from industry people and so forth. And if they, in the 3 months, seem to be getting good responses, they might then extend that agreement. It's not a signed agreement for a long time, but just to see where that client will be, in film,
Hmm.
television, whatever it is, and then start a relationship. Agents and their clients almost have a marriage bond. It's that connected.
Mm-hmm.
The agent will only work for you if you're out there doing the work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's 10% for the agent and it's 90% for the actor to get the job.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't
Gets you
change.
thinking.
Oh my goodness. Do we have another question?
We have lots of questions, actually. Yes. So, first, before I forget, let me ask another draw question for those of you watching. To be entered into the draw, answer the following. If you were cast in Les Mis, the movie or the musical, I'm sure everybody saw the movie, which role do you think you'd play? Or if you don't know, you could also say which role you hope to play in Les Mis. Okay, and question wise, I'm gonna have to scroll up here. There's a bunch of, Paula is saying a good thing that I wanted to mention. Thank you, Paula, for reminding me. Um, as mentioned previously, Mari Lyn did write a book, How to Be a Working Actor. So it's only like $10 on Amazon. And it addresses everything that we're discussing here tonight in detail. So highly recommend if you can spare the $10 and just, buy the book. You can, all the details are there. However, since we are discussing a lot of stuff that's in the book tonight, we do have a couple of questions related to that.
Yeah.
So we had, actually, let me ask you this. This is directly from your book. Because we haven't discussed this at any other streams. We've discussed things like headshots before, but no one ever mentioned the wardrobe and how you should dress.
Oh, well.
Yes. So could you address that and let us know any tips for that?
Then talent manager, casting director, et cetera, et cetera. I also, for several years, was an image consultant and coach for wardrobe. Because that's part of presentation. You're going in to meet somebody. What are you wearing? And because as a casting person, I was always meeting actors, and believe me, some of them looked like they had just come from bed. Everything was wrinkled. Nothing was, the shirt was out of the belt. The hair looked like it hadn't had a comb. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a worst case scenario. It was rare, but it happened. And if you don't give people guidelines, anarchy, it's anarchy. I myself believe it's so simple to dress for success for any professional experience. Your audition, even on Zoom, when you self-tape, no matter what the occasion, look like you're together. So that means hair is combed. You don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on hairstyling, but at least you should know what fits your face shape best so that, you'll come across looking very smart on camera. Also, the colors, the psychology of color is a very important part of my world. I've been studying it for so long. And color combinations or color psychology, for example, let me give you one example of this. If you wear something red, like a man is in a red shirt, a woman is in a red dress, you walk into an office to meet somebody for the first time, the red is so hyperactive and such energy that the first impression is aggressive, seeking power, and you don't want to be the power seeker. The power is sitting at the desk. And especially, nerves get frayed and all of that, but especially if you're up there for some kind of specific role, you want the colors not so bright. So that's why I've written forever about no yellow, no orange, no neon colors, no bubblegum pink. Let's look at muted tones. You're wearing the blue. I'm wearing the blue. Blue is a great camera-friendly color. And so I've gone through the colors and what they mean. Green, like a deep green, is the most restful eye to the retina. So say I'm a casting director, the phones are ringing, I've got all these people waiting to see me. I'm like, and In walks somebody to audition wearing green, and all of a sudden I calm down. That's the power of color. So there's a lot more about that in the chapter called Getting Your Act Together. But I was very also interested in the kinds of clothing that's available, what necklines, everything feeds into the photo shoot. So are these the colors for the photo shoot that you're going to wear? Are you going to wear solids? There's going to be a lot of print, design things that are distracting. We don't want distracting prints in a headshot, because the eye has to go to the face. That's what a headshot means. And so if you're into some kind of leopard print, when you walk in or have it taken in a photo shoot, or horrible stripes or polka dots, the eye is going there first. You want that eye to hit right where you want it to be, which is your smiling, happy face.
Yes, we did discuss headshots at some of the other sessions, and we were for whatever reason I didn't even think to ask about the wardrobe, but I feel like you're right. It's so important.
Oh yes, and you don't need to buy a lot of clothing, because you can just have a part of your closet. I did this with the American Academy of Dramatic Arts years ago when they were doing showcase stuff, and that is half of the closet make your professional wardrobe. It doesn't have to take up a lot of space. And the other half of the closet, make it your personal closet. Okay, the party stuff, the social stuff, the barbecue stuff, the sporty. And then you always have the professional ready to go. If you need, good shoes. Shoes are important, because if you're going to be full length walking into or being on a stage at an audition, people are looking at you from the feet up or the head down, one or the other. And I think when people are doing live auditions, they should be very cognizant of how, I don't want to say, hypercritical scrutiny can be from a panel of casting people, directors, agents, whoever's in the room judging your audition piece.
Yeah.
Got to remember perception. How do you look before you leave the house? All
exactly,
set,
yeah.
ready to go. Yeah. And because of that, you look like you have more confidence in yourself, more self-esteem, that you're ready, that you looked at the material, you know the material, you've embraced it, you feel connected to the part. And as one of my wonderful soap opera stars said to me years ago, Mari Lyn, when I have an audition and it's 5 minutes and I've got to be there in the moment, for those 5 minutes, I am that role. I own it. And that's empowerment. And colors are powerful. Statement.
I'm going to have to read that chapter carefully. Now I'm interested in all the details.
It's really easy. I even made a camera-friendly color packet with little swatches of colors.
Oh wow!
A lot of people are so resistant to common sense. Oh no, it's not me. No, I don't want to cut the hair down to my waist because I'll look like everybody else. There's so much that gets in the way of just presenting yourself in the best possible light. That's what people want to see. You think they're going to cast somebody who comes in with wrinkled clothing and scuffed shoes to be on a soap set? Not on your tintype or a prime time. You've got to look not like the part you're auditioning for, but that you've got yourself together.
That reminds me of a question, and I'll ask that as a follow-up right after I ask our audience the next question.
Oh, good.
I do. Once we get into these discussions, I tend to forget about the draw questions, so I want to make sure I'm check mark, ask the next one.
I don't want to interrupt your questions.
All right, so for our audience, for the draw, next question, since we just did Les Mis and got a lot of interesting answers out of that, let's do Sweeney Todd this time. If you were cast in Sweeney Todd, which role would you be cast as, or which role would you like to play? And once again, I'm going through musicals slash movie musicals. So for those of us who are film actors, could participate as well. Um, and for Mari Lyn, the follow up question I had was you kind of mentioned it, that don't dress for the role you're going for as much as like be yourself and present the best version of yourself. Now, if I know there's like people go back and forth between dress for the role versus not dress for the role. What is a fine line between kind of, you know, if I'm going, so I auditioned, for example, for a lot of ingenue roles, but in real life, I wouldn't necessarily, you know, come in like a cute dress, like wear a cute dress. But to an audition, I'm thinking, oh, ingenue role or princess role, I gotta be in a dress. So I just wear like a cute dress. So it kind of looks like the part, but it also is me. So where's the line that you're that you shouldn't cross when you're like, okay, I'm kind of like the character, but also myself. Um, Same goes for wearing colors. Like if I go for a role that is, you know, an aggressive role, I'm like, should I wear red or should I wear something else so that the first impression is not, oh my God, she's wearing red, she's aggressive.
I mean, here's what I used to say: don't wear red, but wear red underwear,
Mm.
especially if it's a sexy part.
Yeah.
Okay. What about your fingernails? You're going to paint them a color because you're playing maybe a kind of a woman of the evening. I mean, there's so many different kinds of parts. I'm just picking that out because
Yeah.
it's easy right now. If you're playing, though, going in for the part of a nun, you're not going to come in with the habit and the long gown.
Exactly.
But you are going to come in something that probably is not too aggressive as a color. So you could do it in a perhaps an off white, but not too bright a white, or a pastel, maybe a mint green or an aqua or something that's a tint of a color. And then you have to look at the shape of the blouse or the dress. What's the neckline like? Is it modest? Is it a little more daring? How does it fit you? Okay. And I had a lot of girls come and see me over the years who had been home for Christmas, put on 10 pounds, hadn't lost them yet. The dress did fit before the 10 pounds, but now we're getting bulges around it. So be sure that what you're wearing fits you well. A friend of mine in the image business years ago told me, know your shape, show your shape, which I think is a good kind of a, you know, motto to think about when you look at yourself in the mirror. Now, here's the thing. If you have a representative that's been talking to the casting person about the role you're auditioning for, the casting person might get a direction from the director she or he is working for, and then suggest wearing something for the role. But if you don't have that instruction when you go on the audition, then play it safe. Play it safe. So for me, if I was going in for a religious role, I might wear a cross, a little cross on a chain. That would give me the trigger to complete my feeling about the audition, about my religion, about you have to kind of go inside of the character to find out what that character would wear. I had an exercise, and the actors out there might be interested in this. I'd say, okay, about this character in the scene, why don't you list 10 things that would be in that character's closet? Use your imagination. And in the closet, you could put an elephant, you could put a stuffed dog or bear, you could put an heirloom, you could put an old wedding dress. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that will hinder your imagination from figuring out what this character might have, because it's also connected to the mind and body experience.
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments here, and people are saying red underwear.
Yes,
I've
they
never
hope
thought of it that way. It's
they,
actually
yeah,
so cool.
because the people in the casting office might not know, but you do. That's your secret. If you
Exactly.
go,
Yeah.
that gives you a little bit more mystery. You
Yeah.
know,
Exactly. It's like your secret that helps you get in character.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. I had, oh, there we go, found it. Because we have so many comments, it's sometimes I have to scroll up to find the question I was looking at. So before I ask that question, next question for the draw, everyone. We all know the famous movie Titanic, since I've kind of been asking questions about musical theater mostly just now. So if you were cast in Titanic, which role do you think you would play? This is for the draw. And for Mari Lyn, Matthew is asking, do you have advice for someone who has aspirations for writing plays and screenplays, or do the same rules as for actors apply?
I think a lot of the same rules for actors. If Matthew's also an actor,
He
and
is, yeah.
okay, actors are so marvelous because they have plays within them. They have stories to tell, and they put the imagination of the character in their writing, in the dialogue, in the situations. And I've known a lot of actors who have had successful plays done off Broadway, actresses as well who write. You might be writing for somebody else. I used to tell kids at Circle in the Square, look, when I was there for a while, anyone in the class a writer? And somebody raised a hand. This girl needs a monologue. Could you write a monologue for her? And immediately the bond was there because he was going to school with her. So he knew her and he knew what he could write for her. So yes, definitely. And write, because writing might be the outlet that gets you to the door of the director who's casting. We got producers, we have all kind of hyphenate people now: producer, director, writer, whatever the titles might be. When you look at a movie these days, the crawl is 10 minutes looking at everybody that was responsible for that film. And I admire all of that. I think if you can write, then do it. Write. Urge you to write.
And get your stuff out there too.
And get it out there. And as an actor, you've got the feelings within you. You've got the texture, substance, the situations, the environment. I believe in one-person shows. If you have a one-person show that you want to do of somebody famous or infamous, it doesn't matter. I have a dear friend, God bless her, who wrote a whole one-person show about bad women. It was a riot. Princess, there was a pirate queen, Anne Bonny, that she wrote about, and she would just change with a hat or something. She was making good money because they have these conferences held in the city, the APAP conference, I believe, or APAC, for people with one-person shows who go to colleges and do their stuff. You know about those things. So, but I mean, these are opportunities. Remember, we're opening those doors.
Exactly, yeah. All right. So I'm just reading some of these comments, answers to for the draw questions.
Is Red Lingerie still winning?
That's one of the winners, but we've got quite an audience tonight. I just want to give a shout out to Jacob Reinhardt, who always has amazing comments and answers to draw questions. He said he's pretty much going to play corpse number 28 or corpse number 25 in all these different shows for Titanic and Sweeney Todd and Les Mis. But in fact, Jacob is an amazingly talented actor. I was in a show with him, so he's probably going to be one of the leads if he gets cast in those shows.
You don't want to be a corpse in anything. Just think about that. I have a friend who had to put herself on tape to play a corpse. How do you submit an audition as a corpse? And she did it, and she sent it. But I mean, I'm thinking, wow, this is, I was kind of teasing her because I said all those years of training, working as an actor, and now a corpse. I mean, there's a kind of dark irony here going on. We even have to audition for dead people now,
Yeah, that's really weird. I feel like if you can send in a picture if they're looking for a specific type of a person or something, but like, how do you audition for that? Just like play there?
I know. I know. So, but you look at the procedurals on Law and Order, every Law and Order franchise there is, and there's always the medical examiner and the corpse laying there for the autopsy. So I guess somebody does it. I don't know.
Yeah, it makes sense if the corpse was, in a scene before, and like the scene of them getting killed, and then it's a corpse. That's one thing.
There's
But
more substance to go by there.
yeah.
Well, tell Jacob he doesn't have to play corpses.
Did you hear that, Jacob? He's still watching, so he can. Oh, Jesus. Jacob says, if I get cast as a corpse, I might go method. We're getting dark here, Jacob.
Oh, yeah, we're spiraling down here to method. Okay.
That escalated quickly.
That humor. I like humor in people. Let's keep humor going.
Oh my gosh, yeah. This is why I love these comments. Every time we have a draw, people put down things. I'm like, this makes my day. Speaking of the draw, let's ask the next question because we only have actually less than 15 minutes left. So if anyone has any more questions for Mari Lyn, and I mean, I have the list of questions here from people who already asked questions, but if you have any more, let's put them down right now to make sure we get to them.
If I don't, Julia, get to all of the questions, is there a way that you can send me some questions and I might send them back with the answers?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be fine. I'd love that.
Yeah, and of course, once again, for those watching, you can just get the book that has how to be a working actor, that has all the details, because obviously in the 1 hour there's no way we can get to all the details of all this stuff.
It's too much. It's too much. But if we simplify it a little bit, and at least somebody gets some guidelines about how to proceed, and follow I don't know, follow the rules. I guess there are rules here, and networking is a very important word. They've got film festivals all over the place, in every place in the country. They've got community theaters. I found a wonderful, it's a union house in Denver or Boulder. I think it's in Boulder, because John Lithgow was a guest in one of their programs, reading a book that he had just written. And I saw the dynamic that was going on between the director, the producer, all these wonderful people. They're out there. You can find them, but you've just got to take the time to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully these streams also give you a good starting point. Where to start if you're an actor just starting out, especially. Where to find the resources.
Budget. By the way, money plays a big role here. I used to tell people, well, you're lucky if you were left a trust fund of $20,000. That's a good startup, okay? But most people aren't. So how do you get the finances together to afford wherever you decide to, park your hat, or sharing? A lot of people share apartments. Young women from different colleges don't have the money. The money is really awful. But so they share the rents, they share the responsibility, but it's an ongoing thing. And I'd say, we used to say, have enough money for the first 6 months. Now we're saying have enough money for a year, at least.
Yeah.
Gotta put your budget plan together.
Yeah, especially when you're in a city like New York or LA. It's expensive to live there.
Yeah, and more expensive in LA for me, as we said in our book, which was the car culture and the fact that you've got to have wheels to get and drive miles just to get to one audition, to a studio lot, to wherever you're going. So, and for a lot of people who are used to being in places where you need a car, that's okay. That's what you know what to do. But in New York, you really don't.
Yeah, I mean, going to downtown New York in a car is just. You probably get there faster if you walk than drive.
Well, actually, I guess you're right about that. I'm a bus person myself. I like
public transport, big thing in New York.
Exactly. Okay, so Are we with the draw or is?
Let me ask the next question for the draw, and then I have a couple more questions for you. I'm actually going to combine a few different questions together, and I think that'll answer a lot of people's questions as well.
Okay, okay, good.
So for the draw, let me pick a good one. Well, this one I ask a lot of times, but let's see, since we have a few new people watching right now, what was your favorite role to play ever? Your favorite role ever in a film or theater or anywhere you played a role? What was your favorite role to play? And Mari Lyn, since we haven't touched upon the resume yet, so one of the points in your book that you cover in your book is how to create a resume that really works, and also how to make a resume. Maybe if you don't have too many credits for those actors who are just starting out, or you have mostly community theater on your resume, how do you make it work to be taken seriously?
There is an outline that is in books. It's something that I have put together for classes I've done and for actors. And basically, it's not. You've got to know how to format a resume. Sometimes on the websites, there's more room to put everything you've ever done since high school. But you only have a 1-page resume. That's the first thing you have to remember. It can't be 2 pages. And so what you start with are your strongest credits. And that doesn't mean you have to be a union member at all. You don't have to be that. And don't put non-union under your name on the top. People will know if they don't see union that you're not. And I used to get resume printed on the page. This is a resume. You don't need to write it resume. So, but you start with either theater, and that's college theater, that's community theater, that's maybe some regional non-union theater that you've been involved with, if that's your strong credit. If it's TV and film, you've done some independent films, maybe they paid you a little money, but it's not recognized by a union, but it's a start to get a reel. And so it would be theater, then it would be film, TV. If you've done commercials locally, we usually put commercials, list on request. Under that, education, training. That, for a lot of people in the business, is what they look for first when you don't have a lot of professional experience. Where did you train? Who have you studied with? Did you do just workshops? Or were they 6-month semesters or 2 years? Courses? Did you do Shakespeare? I mean, all of this stuff you have to put together. Okay, do you do voiceover work? All of that. Then there is a separate section for skills. By skills, of course, I mean dance, sing, play a musical instrument, improvisation, accents, dialects, facility with dialects, because a lot of parts need a dialect these days. So you should be honing on that skill if you don't have it. Fencing, yoga, there's everything, bird calls, whistling. I don't care what it is. I mean, somebody might need a person who whistles for a minute and a half. Can you? A lot of breathing to do that. Imitations, impressions, comedic skill. And then juggling, and then sports, if you're athletic. What I've done with the resume is put a box on the left margin, a text box with stuff that you want the person to see based on your, maybe you've got a few review excerpts from things you've done, or you have special skills that don't go on the resume, or you've got too many skills. And so that can be in that box, and anything you're currently working on. These are movable things, because with the internet, you can keep changing your resume. You can revise it, you can update it, you can put new information in it, and it's a doc in your computer. And there are all kinds of different resumes, formats, because you don't want to send the same resume for theater auditions as you might for film and TV. I mean, you can, if that's all you've got. But sometimes if the call is for a part in a film, I would say the film credits go on top, and then the theater credits after that. But there's, and you can do it. You can do it with economy. The outline format is, just the role, play, where you did it. I mean, I've counseled so many people in resumes that, and yet they still sometimes don't get it. You have to keep at it, and know that. So that's basically the resume idea. But don't pad,
Hmm.
don't lie. You'll
Yeah.
be caught.
Yeah, we've all heard some stories of people lying on their resumes and
Woo!
did not end well.
No, it did not end well. And as a manager, I was very cognizant of those who wanted
Hmm.
to be, with me and my partner. And we'd look at the resume and go, no, 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 I know the casting director of that film, and that role wasn't in it. So, and so and sometimes managers thinking, oh, this is a young woman. I think she's pretty, and she might have some roles in soap opera or maybe some pilots or whatever she. And so this one actress came to see me, and I said to her, I know somebody who was in that film. I don't remember your role, and her eyes started to water up. And I said, okay, come on. It's okay. It's okay. Just what happened? And she said, well, I don't have enough material to put on a resume. And this manager that I'm working with told me to add some things. And so that's what I did. And I'm not in these things, but the manager suggested it. And I'm so sorry. She was very apologetic. And I said, listen, don't apologize. It's a learning curve.
Yeah.
You found out you can't get away with it because somebody along the way will know and maybe chastise you for the lie. I'm not one of those, but just know in the future you've learned a lesson and go on.
Yeah, that's very very good advice right there.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
The
Well,
resume is not rocket science, by the way. And then there's the cover note that goes with the photo.
mhm.
So I covered that now. Any of the tools that you need to help market yourself.
Yes, and I believe in your book you also talk about marketing yourself on like the internet, which I'm assuming like communicating with casting directors, social
Well,
media, and stuff like that.
yes, yes, yes. I think too that there should be a website presence, but you can't develop a website until you've got something of substance to put on
Yeah.
that website. And unfortunately, there have been so many bad websites when actors put a website down, like from Wix or GoDaddy or wherever they've gotten it
Hmm.
from. There is, I don't know, I can't look at these things because they're so badly
Yeah.
organized. Okay. And the pictures are old and the resumes have not been updated. And there's no review quotes or anything that gives me any more idea about whether I should meet that person or not.
Hmm.
I think you have to be very careful before you go that route. But what you're doing, in essence, is preparing for that development of a website. You
Exactly. And
know,
then once you're ready, you put all those
then
things
you
on
can
your website. Yeah.
have somebody. If you're scared about it's going to look awful, find somebody, maybe an actor, who can help you develop it and organize it and
Exactly.
make it look great.
Yeah.
That's a lot of actors are doing that now. They're helping people with computer issues and resumes and all of that right
Yeah.
now. It
Uh,
gives them a little extra money.
yeah, that actually gave me an idea. We should probably have someone on one of these streams talking specifically about websites and social media and
Absolutely.
stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
you're right.
exactly.
Because I've also, when I was building my website, I've seen a bunch of different websites, and I was like, oh, I don't know how like this
And
is
don't
kind of
give
weird. This is so I wasn't sure where to even start.
up. I've seen white lettering on black backgrounds. I'm going, come on, put some life
Yeah.
into this thing, and don't make a dear reader, blah 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 blah. I mean, I have gotten letters over the years that were really insane. I mean, it was like they were the bee's knees. They were at the top of the mountain, and they hadn't done anything. But some coach got a hold of them and said, "Here, write this down. I am an independent, recognizable, hardworking, brilliant, beautiful person. Period.
Hmm.
That's why you should represent me." So that was the next sentence. No, I mean, it gets worse than that. I won't go into it.
Yeah. Also, one thing and I've almost made this mistake with my social media when I was starting out, making it look as if it's managed by someone else or your website. So it's like, oh, this actor, or well, I'll just use my name. It's like, oh, Julia would love to get in touch with you, and here's how you can get in touch with her. I'm like, everybody knows you're managing your own stuff. Just be like, hi, this is me. Here's how you can contact me.
Well,
It's just
yeah,
really weird. Or on Instagram, it's like, oh, here's a photo of this actor, trying to make it look like it's a fan page or something when you're not, I mean, there's a lot of fan pages of more
I'm not
famous
blaming
actors,
anyone
but
for doing it. They're desperate. They're
yeah.
desperate. But instead of spending all that creative juice on sham stuff, take a class. You
Yeah.
know, go to a good acting coach, learn something, develop some skill, and stop worrying about your credits or anything else.
Hmm.
Because if you're really interested in having this as a career, you don't give up and you learn and you develop yourself as you go and you
Yeah.
meet other people who help you, who will because they know you're hardworking.
Great advice. Okay, we are almost over time now, but
Oh, no,
let me just
be.
ask you this one
Oh,
last question because a lot of people ask this, so I'm just going to combine it into one question for everybody. And everybody who's watching, last, or actually second to last, draw question. If you could work with any actor at all to co-star in a film or theater, which actor would it be? And Mari Lyn, one of the things that a lot of people wanted to know about today was what are some of the biggest mistakes actors make and how to avoid them. So maybe I know we're pretty much out of time, so maybe you could just mention
I,
a few things.
I think there are a lot of don'ts. It's
Mhm.
like you get an audition, you're not prepared, you're in a panic, you show up late, you call in and say you're sick when you're not. I mean, there's a whole lot of problems that ensue with lack of professionalism. I think lack of professionalism and preparation are the two biggest problems I always found with actors. And then you would, even something as silly as the pronunciation of words in a scene. Somebody was playing, it was auditioning for a lawyer role, and the word was indicted, which the C is silent, it's indicted. And she said indicted. And if she said indicted, it meant she wasn't doing her homework. It can be that simple to find out that this person was never going to be a lawyer in that role. It was just that, and there was one famous uh, story that I heard from one of my casting director friends who's not with us anymore, a wonderful man in California, and he loved this story. It was a general audition, and a young, very pretty blonde girl, kind of in the Monroe image, et cetera, et cetera. And she got up and he said, "So, what is your monologue today?" And she said, "I'm going to do a monologue by Samuel French." Well, you can imagine how many people nearly died laughing off their chairs. I mean, it was like, oh no, thank you. That was very nice, miss.
It's like, yeah, do your research on who the author is.
Never wrote play. Excuse me. Um, but things like that have always happened. I think
Yeah.
keep yourself together. Remember to put some humor into the experience. Don't waste time of the casting director. You have to come in. Maybe you've got 2 minutes. Come in, do it, exit gracefully. I mean, I have all these things that I've done in webinars over the years that I think are very important, but preparation and knowing your
Mhm.
craft were two of the things that came out of a SAG Foundation panel of casting directors years ago, and they still hold true. And doing your homework, doing your research.
Yeah, research super important.
Super
Yeah,
important.
and
They,
especially now with when we have
I,
videos like
look up,
this.
I look up actors that I see on reruns of Perry Mason to find out what happened to them on Wikipedia. I mean, I'm that
Yeah.
curious to know because I used to know them. I want to know if there's water.
Yeah.
Is that good? But it's really something because I had such great affection for a lot of people over the years who just were sterling performers, and they weren't great stars, but they were working actors, actors like Bill Bosco, who went to Catholic U, where I had done my master's work,
Hmm.
Frank Sternhagen. I mean, award-winning actors. I can't tell you how inspired I became from knowing these people. And that's what you're always looking. You're looking up. You're not looking down.
Yeah.
So it's the new R word: refurbish, replenish, reflective. What? And we can use those, but let's not go into rejection.
Hmm.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I reject the garbage. I'm going out to put it in the trash can.
Exactly. Yeah. Now when you say it like that.
I just made that up on the spur, but you get where I'm coming
Yeah,
from here.
yeah, yeah.
Well, look, I mean, I've just been having such a good time. I hope that the comments reflect that from the viewers on this live stream. And I thank you for giving me that opportunity. Are you going to draw a winner?
Yes, we'll do the draw right now. So let me just see if. Oh, yes. Well, there's a lot of comments. I promise I'll get to everybody's comments. And those of you watching, let us know what other topics you'd like us to cover, and what other guests you'd like to have on one of these streams. And I'll do my best to get those on. Now, for Mari Lyn, for the draw, could you pick a number from 1 to, I totally forgot to enter two more people. 1 to 60.
You want me to give you that number? 1 to 60, 60?
660, yes.
Okay, 41.
41. Gotta scroll up for this. Let's see. Number 41 is. Dun, dun, dun. Scroll up. And number 41 is. I'm sorry, Irina. I'm going to mess up your name again. Irina was one of our winners in previous streams, but the winner is Irina Tucker-Chuk.
Oh, she sounds lovely.
Yes, she is lovely. I actually know her personally. I just never know how to pronounce her last name properly.
Well, it's hard, you know, you got to kind of put that in syllables and find out the
Yes.
pronunciation. A lot of actors change their names because people can't either spell them or they misspell them
Or
constantly.
yeah, exactly. Especially if your name is in your email too, or your website, and so
Yeah,
people like type it in and misspell it, and they can't get to your website.
a lot of those names, but she sounds like she's a fabulous person, and I look forward to that
Yeah,
session.
she's a great actress. So I'll put you two in touch, and we'll go from there. Now, Mari Lyn, thank you so much for doing this. Usually we do closing remarks, but I think you've kind of done that when in your last in your last answer to the question, unless you have something else to say.
One quote, I'll give you one quote from Sir John Gielgud.
Yes.
Acting is half shame, half glory. Shame when you exhibit yourself, and glory when you can forget yourself. How's that?
I love it. I've actually never heard that one before, but I love it.
I'm full of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
thank you.
Irina is saying she wants to change her last name. Don't change your last name just because I can't pronounce it.
Look, it could be in our session. We discuss that possibility.
But yeah, but you know, a lot of people do have stage names. If you, I don't know about legally changing your name. It's a lot of hassle, but have a stage name.
Yeah, no, you don't have to legally change it. You can just make it easier to pronounce. You know,
Exactly.
You know
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's sorry, I'm just reading a quick question from Irina. This might be useful for everybody else too. She's asking, I have a question about the book. Is this the one with the 5th edition at the end? She wants to buy the right one.
It's the 5th edition.
5th. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I found it on Amazon also, and I think it says the 5th edition somewhere.
The presents.
Yeah, make sure you get the present to get the internet parts of it in there. Okay, so now for everybody watching, we do have more of these streams. Next one is on Monday with a special guest from LA, California. So we'll be talking about film and Hollywood and all that fun stuff
Great.
on Monday. So join us then. And I posted a link to our group. I think at the top of the comments, if you scroll up, you'll see the link. You can join the group to be notified about the streams, or you can also follow this page or just check the page every now and then. We usually do these streams every like a couple of times a week. Might be more because we do have quite a few different guests scheduled in the next month or so. So keep checking and keep joining.
Thank you. I've got a new friend, Julia, you. I'm very glad to know you.
I'm glad to know you too. These streams have been so great. Have been now I actually know somebody who said when I finally get to New York after COVID is over, they'll show me where the best sushi places are.
Okay, I'll be looking at you. And you're going to get in contact with me, right?
Yes, I will, and I'll put you in touch with Irina. Right, well, not right now. Once we're done here. So thank you again, and thanks everybody else for watching, and hopefully see you on Monday.
Okay. Good night.